Hello and welcome to this Warhammer 40k Heretic of Starters Chaos Space Marine 2000 point Night Lord list review. So I've been reading through the Chaos Space Marines new codex for 8th edition, and as you would have seen on my review, please check that out if you haven't. I'm really enjoying this codex, so I've been going through a lot of the units, summing them up. It's inspiring me to make a really huge force of Chaos Space Marines, and then having Death Guard and Tzeentch and Word Bearers for Khorne and Abaddon. But then I hear rumours Abaddon's going to get a new model. Typhus apparently is going to get a new model. Mortarion is coming out. Chaos players are going to get a lot of love in the next 6 to 12 months. So rejoice and enjoy the fruits of this codex. So what I wanted to go through is I've looked through the codex, looked at my playstyle, and I've created a list for it. Now, with my playstyle, you may notice with my 8th edition, 7th edition, and 6th edition battle reports, I like to be tricky and disruptive, essentially, to my opponent. I like to have things that really make my opponent think twice about things. For example, Ian really likes a gunline army. He'll have 2 or 3 units which are really manoeuvrable, but have a lot of things that can just stand still and do a lot of shots. So, to counter that, I like things that deep strike, things that come in from reserve that don't have to scatter, and long range weaponry and some psychic stuff to really counter his overpowering of weapons. And with 8th edition, psychic, maneuverability and assault have really got a buff. So as I'm going through the Chaos Codex, I'm loving some of the things. So I'm going to go through with you a 2000 point Night Lord's army, which I think is pretty strong, and I dare you to try this out. I don't have the models for it yet, but I dare you to try this out, and then please in the comment section below let me know how it is, or as I go through this, please comment below to say on paper if you think this is strong or not strong, because I'm going to go through the tactics of each unit and the coherency of everything in that. So in the new Chaos Space Marine Codex you have Legion traits. What are Legion traits? So in the units that you have in the Chaos Space Marine Codex, they have a section which is the Marc of Chaos. So you can give them a Marc of Chaos, which really affects them for specific Legion traits or psychic powers, and you can give them a specific Legion. So the Legions I went through in my Codex review. I will quickly go over them now. Black Legion, which is more of Abaddon the Despoiler. Add 1 to the leadership characteristic of models in units with this trait. So that essentially is like the Ultramarine one. But then, in addition, if a unit with this trait advances, it treats rapid fire weapons as assault weapons until the end of the turn. E.g., rapid fire 2 is treated as assault 2. Why is that good? It's good for weapons such as plasma, rapid fire bolters. It becomes assault. It allows you to move and then advance and still be able to shoot. Why is that? Well, assault weapons are the only weapons that can shoot after you have advanced. So you do have a -1 to it, but it allows you to do extra shooting and enjoy life, really. Iron Warriors. Enemy units attacked by units with this trait do not gain any bonus to their saving throw for being in cover, so you get to negate cover. In addition, you can reroll failed wound rolls for units when they target a building. So similar to the Space Marine one, which I'm sure will annoy a lot of Chaos Space Marine players. Renegade Chapters. Units with this trait can advance and charge in the same turn. That is pretty powerful. And if you like close combat army, choose a Renegade Chapter or the World Eaters one, which we'll go through in a second. But being able to move, advance, and then assault that seems to me to go for bikes, raptors, talons. Oh, what else? Chaos Space Marines, maybe. Just fast things. Pop them in a rhino. Take them out of the rhino. Move them. Advance them. Then charge on your next turn. So, if you want to get in combat and do some melee damage, because melee is quite strong now, go for Renegade. World Eaters, when a unit with this trait makes a successful charge, you can make one additional attack with each of its models in the subsequent phase. Khorne, biggest winner, I believe, in this codex. Yeah, Death Guard and Tzeentch are going to get their own codex over the next 6 months, which is kind of cool for them. But World Eaters, yeah, Bikers, Khorne Berserkers, Cultists, Chaos Space Marines, anything which you give Khorne and give this Legion, bam, a +1 attack. Essentially, it's the old charge rule. You get a +1 attack in Assault, which is incredible. Bearing in mind, well, Khorne Berserkers can attack twice, and then with a specific stratagem, 3 times. Night Lords, which will be this list, models in enemy units must subtract 1 from their leadership characteristic for each unit with this trait within 6 inches to a maximum -3. You'll see what I have got for that. Emperor's Children, units with this trait always fight first in the fight subphase. That's good again for combat army. It's quite a huge buff really for Slaaneshi units. And if you've always had Emperor's Children, have your Thousand Sons being able to shoot, a couple more units to shoot. Now you get some close combat buffing. Alpha Legion, your opponent must subtract 1 from hit rolls that target your units from over 12 inches away. That's okay. Again, it kind of disrupts those slower ballistic skill armies. World Bearers, you can re-roll failed morale tests. That's okay, I guess. Not my favourite. My favourite at the moment is Night Lords. So what I'm going to do is, now that I've gone through the Legion trait so that you understand a little bit more, I'm going to go through the actual army list now with you and tell you why I think it's very, very strong and very, very chaosy. So my chaos list. I have created a battalion list, an Outrider, Spearhead, which essentially gives me 3 for the battalion, which is 2 to 3 HQ with 3 troops. The Outrider is 1 HQ, 3 fast attack, and the Spearhead is 1 HQ, 3 heavy. That essentially is 5 command points. Why do I need 5? Well, I'm going to be using a few of them to do with Cultists to really boost the fluff, and then have a few elsewhere to help the army. So let's go with the HQ units. So HQ units, I have a Warpsmith. That's right, a Warpsmith. Why do I want a Warpsmith? Well, I have a couple of heavy support options, which are vehicles, and I have some rhinos as well, so I've got some options there. Also, he comes with a flamer and a melter, so he could be a cheaper backline unit. The Warpsmith is 45 points standard, 5 points for flamer, 17 for the melter. He comes in a total of around 78 points, which is pretty good. Then I have a Sorcerer, just a bog standard Sorcerer. I might use the Sorcerer model from the Terminator kit, or kind of kit bash a little bit to make it look really cool. But the Sorcerer will be just a standard Sorcerer. He does have the jetpack rule where he can teleport in. I'd probably give him Tzeentch Marc, so that I get some of the cool psychic power that Tzeentch have. But having that Sorcerer being able to teleport in will be good, because I can warp time other things that are teleporting in. Chaos Lord with jetpack, again, can teleport in. He also has an aura? An aura is what I'm trying to say. An aura which allows you to re-roll your shots essentially, and I believe your to hit rolls as well, which will buff the units around him within a few inches. I haven't given him any other upgrades because he is there for a kind of a buff thing, and then just an extra man to kind of do things. Then I have a Chaos Lord in Terminator armor. Similarly, like the jetpack guy, he will teleport in. He's a little bit tougher, and he comes with power, I believe a power sword and stuff, so he can kind of wreck things as well. And that's my HQs. The Warpsmith will stay back, protecting my vehicles, but also with the ability of a flamer and a melter, he can do some damage. And then my Sorcerer, Chaos Lord and Terminator will teleport close to the enemy. They have to be 9 inches away from the enemy, but they will be close to the enemy. Why is that important? Well, I've got a unit of 5 Terminators. Just with combi bolters, they will also teleport 9 inches away from the enemy. So they will teleport in, they will get the buffs from the Chaos Lord and the Sorcerer near them. So they'll get the buffs of that. The Sorcerer will either smite or do some damage, potentially causing a character to become a Chaos Spawn, or he'll do Warp Time and move my Chaos Terminators a little bit closer. Now they're about 4 inches away from you. I will charge in. Chaos Terminator is charging into something of importance. Maybe you've got some Devastators, maybe you've got some Broadsides, maybe you have a unit on an objective that I really need to get. Now I have Terminators on there which are going to wreck you to death. Now Terminators have 2 wounds, they are incredible. Then I'm going to have, in my troop section, I'm going to have 20 Cultists, which will be 80 points. A unit of 5 Chaos Space Marines with a Rhino and Havoc launcher. Another unit of 5 Chaos Space Marines with a Rhino and Havoc launcher. What's my plan with this? Well, the Chaos Space Marines with the Rhino and Havoc launcher. The Havoc launcher essentially gives you a long range weapon. I'll just go to the back of the book and talk about what the Havoc launcher does. So the Havoc launcher, I'm in the melee weapon section. The Havoc launcher is 48 inch range. It is heavy D6, strength 5, no armor value problem, but it is damage 1. So essentially good against troops or light armoured vehicle. So it just gives you that extra pot shots there. Also you have your unit of 5 Chaos Space Marines inside it, so they're protected, and then if need be they will get out and hold the objective whilst the Rhino can either move off, go to another objective, or just stay in front of them causing some damage. The 20 Cultists, they will be hidden either at the backfield to get an objective, or what I will be using them for, and a lot of people on YouTube and mini wargaming have kind of said you don't really want to do a stratagem tactic around this, but I think it's pretty incredible. It is the Tide of Traitors. 2 command points. Use this stratagem at the end of your movement phase. If you do so, pick a unit of Chaos Cultists and remove it from the battlefield. You can then set it up again wholly within 6 inches of the edge of the battlefield and more than 9 inches from an enemy model at its full starting strength. So you have a unit of 20. Say you've lost 6, maybe 7 of them. You've been a bit unlucky. Bam! Tide of Traitors. They now go up to the starting unit they had. So, for example, this would be 20. They will now go on your opponent's side of the field, either for line breaker point at the end, or to go at the back of the field, be a disruptive unit. They will have the Legion rule of Night Lords, which means if you're within 6 inches of them, you have minus to your leadership. They also, not bad weapon, if I just go to their weapon, your Chaos Cultists have an autogun. An autogun is 24-inch range. It is rapid fire, just one shot, strength 3, damage 1, AP 0. You're going to be 9 inches away, which means you're in rapid fire. So that 20-man unit will essentially be doing 40 strength 3 shots against things. Split firing that is fine, but the strength 3 thing will be taking down some troops at the back. Whatever you want. Again, Devastators are there. Probably going to take a few wounds from that. And then try and go in for the charge. You get into the charge. Maybe you kill another thing. You have minuses to your leadership now because they are Night Lords. Just again, with the fluff of the Night Lords, it just adds a little bit extra to it. And I think people are slightly overlooking that stratagem. Whilst again having the Chaos Space Marines and Rhino in your backfield, holding objectives and doing pot shots from, again, the back. So those pot shots are taking down 1, 2 of your opponent's units, and then combined with things that are going to be teleporting in and doing some damage. That's going to hurt. Fast attack, 5 Raptors with the Icon of Despair. So Raptors will give you a -1 to your leadership if you're within 1 inch. The Icon of Despair is another minus, and then the Night Lord Legion is another minus. So have them teleport in, do some pot shots, try and charge in. Again, yeah, it's going to be about an 8-inch, 9-inch charge usually. But you make that, the opponent is going to be taking a lot of damage and a lot of minus leaderships to what's happening. You make them a minus leadership free to start with your Raptors. You take a few of their things off, say you kill 2 models, they're at -5 already. That is dangerous for them losing extra points. Smite, the psychic power, is good at taking off mortal wounds. Night Lords is good against taking off enemy opponents in the morale phase. So at the end of essentially your turn, they are losing units, and it becomes a psychological warfare to your opponent. They will get a little bit annoyed at you, but you're chaos, so what's the problem? Then I'm going to have free spawn. Cheap fast attack, 99 points, free spawn. Why do you want free spawn? Again, either protecting the backfield, or you just move and advance them towards an objective, or some light troops, or whatever. Your opponent is already worrying about your Chaos Lord, the Terminators, the Terminator Lord, and Sorcerer, and Cultists in their backfield. They're going to have to turn their attention to that. Whilst they're doing that, they're ignoring the Havoc launchers from the Rhinos and the Chaos Spawn coming towards them. Then there is also a unit of 5 Talons. What do? They teleport in. When you charge with them, your opponent cannot overwatch. And these guys have Lightning Claws, which are re-rolling to wound. And they've got some -2 damage going to your opponent. -2 AP, going to your opponent. And they're pretty deadly, which is pretty awesome. And they are 5 invulnerable, and the models look cool. Then in the heavy support is free Obliterators. Again, they can teleport in. So you don't have to be really close with them, but they will teleport in a pretty good... If they would have been deployed in your backfield, there would have been things in the way, maybe cover or buildings and stuff. They are teleporting in just where you want them. Being able to do pot shots. Oh look, some Raptors are coming in. Oh look, some Storm Talons are coming in. Just really disrupt your opponent's lines. With this new codex, they're not what they used to be, but they are better. Then I have a Mauler Fiend and a Forge Fiend. The Mauler Fiend is there with the Tendrils upgrade. That is just moving, advancing up the field, ready to get into combat. If your opponent is ignoring everything you have teleported in the back and they start to advance forward continuously, whether you've got Orcs, whether they've got Tyranids or whatever, you are using your Mauler Fiend as that speed block, or to really take down some units, lightly to medium level units that are there. And the Forge Fiend is there with its Hades autocannon, And then ectoplasm again. If you decide not to teleport your sorcerer in the back, keep him there. Give prescience or whatever you want to these to the Forge Fiend to help him with the shooting. That's a lot of Daka. It essentially becomes like the Tyranids, Exocrine kind of thing. But then you have your Warpsmith bringing back wounds. Being a demon thing, these guys are going to regenerate wounds as well. So they're tough, strong, and they get to be a bit more survivable. Then, lastly, I have a Helldrake with Baleflamer. Helldrakes took a bit of a hit, but the way I'm reading the rules, their role is a little bit different. Their starting range of movement is 30. 30. They start on your field. Your opponent, if they go first, will probably be shooting at your monsters, such as the Forge Fiend, the Mauler Fiends, maybe your Rhinos, or whatever. The Helldrake is there. Put him behind cover if you need to. Again, it's a bit survivable. It can regenerate wounds. It can move 30 inches up the board. So it moves 30 inches up the board. It is there in your opponent's face. Baleflamer, a unit you need to take down some casualties. Bam, bam, bam. What are you going to do? Oh, now it's going to go into combat. This strength and toughness 7 monster is now in combat. It may not be the most epic thing to be a close combat in your army list, but it is there in combat. It can disrupt a tank, it can disrupt something that's heavily shooting. So you disrupt that. It will then attack back. You will attack, your opponent will attack you back. Probably won't kill you. It has the fly special rule, which means when it is your turn again, you come out of combat, you pivot it, move it out of combat, Baleflamer something else, attack something else in close combat. Really disrupt your opponent's ability to pick and choose what is shooting, because the Helldrake is just there to combat your opponent and stop them shooting. Whilst you're stopping them shooting, your Talons, Chaos Jetpack, Terminators, your Lord, your Raven, Raptors, Obliterators are all teleporting in, encircling your opponent, taking down wounds, closing them in combat, taking them down in the morale phase, really disrupting them. Your opponent will not know what to do. They will not have target priority. They will have to really focus in on something to do. They focus in on something over here. You've then got your Forge Fiend and Mauler Fiends coming up the table, attacking them. Remembering your Chaos Space Marines and Rhinos are in your backfield, looking after those objectives. In contrast, if you're against a Tau army or drop pod army or something that's teleporting against you, keep your Warpsmith, your Forge Fiends or Mauler Fiends at the back. Bring your Terminators at the back if you need to as well, and Obliterators. Really protect them, and then just start moving up the field. Your Sorcerer can give warp time and move them up the field a little bit faster. There are ways to stay back and then move forward and counter as well. And again, with this Helldrake, it's pretty epic. So this army list is 1,998 points, which makes it into the 2,000 point that Ian and I play on the channel. It is 5 command points, 2 of which are for the Cultist to essentially teleport onto the backfield, disrupting your opponent again, and rapid fire 40 strength free shots at them. And then you have 3 command points to do with whatever, even using them for other stratagems, or just using them to do as re-rolls for saves, armor, whatever you want to do. So this is my 2,000 point Night Lords list. Tell me what you think. There's no Elite Marines, Plague, Noise, Khorne, and stuff like that. Tell me what you think. The army list, the kind of tactics I've gone through in this video. If you have the models, use them, then let me know if you think it's a win, success, or whether there's something I'm just missing. But I'd love to hear your views on it. Please comment, share, like and subscribe. I've been Marc from the Xenovision channel, and I will see you on the next video. Goodbye.